Hello and welcome to Greet the Week. I'm Mona Duncan, and this week's topic is about honest feelings. And I love how life works, that it kind of comes hand in hand with with our life. And serendipity that I had written that I was going to be talking about honest feelings way back before today, about a month ago. Anyway, I was invited over the weekend to attend with my granddaughter and my daughter because my granddaughter is getting married in December and she wanted to go look at wedding dresses and invited me to go and her sister to go with us and her best friend. And so we had a whole lot of fun, good camaraderie together. But it also, as I was working on today's talk, I thought, wow, those honest feelings are so very, very important. And we need to always know that. So let me bring up the screen. And we will begin to look at these honest feelings. Uh, Big bucks can be given to, for consulting, people coming in, holding concerts and so forth, and teaching self-esteem and super salesmanship and anything that fix what ails you. And there may be, that it, I'm not condemning that. Please do not misunderstand me, because it can be legally okay. Yet sometimes those things can be emotionally dishonest. And so guilt and shame, as we might begin to think of some guilt or some shame, is to realize that that is an outside voice that is speaking. And so to be aware of that. So I had an uncle one time that anytime anyone bought anything, he would be very quick to inquire, did you buy it or did they sell it to you? And kind of negative in looking at it, but that has to be a part of our honest feelings as we look about anything. Am I just buying into it, or am I allowing them to sell it to me, no matter what it is? When we are dishonest with ourselves, life begins to teach us that we are not in charge of anything except our response to the outside currents of life. And we definitely are responsible for how we respond to those things in life that happen, whether they are planned or serendipitous. And as we can see outside occurrences as impersonal, as we can begin to look at those things that come against us that really begin to kick in, that begin to hurt those feelings. But as we can see those outside occurrences as impersonal, and it came kind of from an organic source, and that it is interconnected to the whole network of life, and how that things happen to us that are good and not so good, and uh, and that unless we honestly seek to change, we may inadvertently seek to control, realizing that I don't like what came against me. I don't like those feelings that I'm now feeling. And we may inadvertently try to control the other person that we think is responsible for. So it's always important to self evaluate, and to self evaluate not only what we're thinking and what we're doing, but realizing that that fourth wheel that is following wherever we are going, and to self evaluate what it's doing, so that it's so asking yourself, whose permission do you think you need? Whose permission do you think you need? Because sometimes we're not willing to make our own decisions. We want to have someone else to be there alongside also. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that if it holds us back from making our own decisions, it can be disparaging. What are your conflicts? What is it that is what are your conflicts with, why are those feelings being so dominant? Would focusing on a select few or looking at something else, looking at it in a different way, would that make the choice easier? A decision is the alternative to those self-sabotaging and being stagnant in just making a decision without really thinking it through. Failure to be honest with fear produces that self-sabotage, because if we don't know how to really look at it and to evaluate it, then it just becomes something that we give credence to without our full honesty with it. And that fear stunts our growth. Fear keeps us from becoming large. It keeps us from living into the expanse that we may have thought initially or felt initially. And so whenever we are fully engaged in whatever, whether it's in love or in creativity or in work, then that cowardly milquetoast fear kind of has a tendency to hide in the shadows. So I have some wisdom here from our 32nd President, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He said, so first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And then he kind of describes fear: nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed effort to convert retreat into advance. That whenever we begin to not be honest with ourselves and we begin to have those feelings, and if those honest feelings are saying retreat, then listen to them, and maybe it'd be best to retreat for a while. But sometimes make sure that's what it's saying so that we can honestly be aware of our emotions or our feelings. President Roosevelt beautifully articulated the paralysis that lurks behind that cowardice of fear. I know several years ago, I became aware of the fact that someone said, and I do not know who it was, that someone said that fear, F-E-A-R, literally means false evidence appearing real. And that often we are fearful of something that it's a fake. And so as we can learn to get honest with ourselves, as we can begin to shed light on what is the reality, as opposed to that feeling that, and to realize that guilt and shame are outside voices. It's something outside of us, it's something inside of us, but it's an outside voice that is giving us all the guilt and all the shame. So, light dispels darkness. As we bravely go forward and conquer, or at least advance a little, or maybe as we give ourselves a full permission to do it, or maybe we need to give ourselves permission to wait. But it is knowing, it is being aware of what our feelings are, our thoughts and our actions, and to be in control of them, in an effective control. So what does it mean to let go so that we can not be so fearful? To allow learning based on truth or consequences. It's kind of to give up my needs. It's not to give up my needs because they're internal and they're universal, but to realize that I cannot control another. They're also to let go is to give up blaming circumstances and making the most of the situation, and making the most of it also in a cooperative manner. To give up the denial and to accept where you are at the moment, that there's still some growth needed, and that's okay. We can grow into it. To stop regretting the past and to learn from the past, and then to live for the future. Also to live life with humility and with courage. And again, knowing that all of these things can be, and then to fear less and to trust more. So, yes, we as human beings have this unyielding, it's either yes or no, almost for everything. So I like what Henry Ford said. He said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And there is so much truth to that. So it does go to our thoughts, uh, but also make sure that our emotions with those thoughts are in coordination and are being honest with each other. And so, bottom line, we are responsible for what we think and what we do, no matter how we may feel. Also, that maturity has more to do with life experiences and lessons learned than how many birthdays we've celebrated. And that our background may have influenced who we are, but we are responsible for who we become. And so, as we look at this, that we live in a world where we can be anything, then by all means, let's be kind. And let's be kind to ourselves, and let's be kind to others. And to realize that sometimes those feelings are there for a purpose. And they definitely are a wheel on our behavior car, but we don't want them to lead. We want to be honest with them so that we can live life more effectively and more fully. So thank you very much. And I'm going to close the recording, and then we'll have discussion now.